Hey, what's up, everybody? Trey Griggs here with Beta Consulting Group. We're your sales and marketing strategist looking out for you. Check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com to learn more about how we can help you improve your sales and marketing outcomes, your branding, your messaging, content creation, all that good stuff there. We'd love to work with you and to see you visit our webpage and give us some feedback on that too, if you would. Man, super excited about today. It's Thursday. We've made it to Thursday this week. It's been an incredible week of shows. Make sure you go back and watch some of the different shows we've had this week. We've had Shannon Breen on from Freyvana. He was awesome. We had Anthony Petit from Truck Park. Cool story about how his uncle actually got him into logistics and solving problems, which was cool. Yesterday, my good friend Natasha Hammock, we talked a lot about messaging, branding, and sales and marketing working together. Can't wait to bring my good friend Cameron Robertson on today, tell his story, which is phenomenal. And then tomorrow, we're going to finish the week with Dave Abels of Three Sons Investments. He's been a transportation executive for many years, decades even. And we're going to hear a little bit from him about leadership and his journey and some fun stuff as well. So it's going to be great. And so make sure you come back tomorrow at 10:30 for that show with Dave Abels on For Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. And go back and watch those other on demand, whether it's on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you want to go with that. Also, everybody, listen, we're like 10 days away. Well, not quite 10. I guess it's the 14th. We are 16 days away from our upcoming Tough Mudder charity challenge that we're doing with the street crew from the Word on the Street. That show's tomorrow at noon. If you've never seen that, noon Central is an hour-long show. And tomorrow we've got my good friend Jennifer Carpus-Romaine on, who's going to talk about the TMSA Level Up Conference coming up in June that you don't want to miss. It's going to be a great time with the street crew tomorrow talking about that. But this Tough Mudder charity challenge we're doing is on April 30th here in St. Louis. It's a 9-mile race with 30 obstacles, and we're raising money for Battle Buddy 3-Gun, which is a tremendous organization here, a nonprofit organization here in St. Louis that helps wounded, paralyzed veterans have a sense of community by taking them on 3-gun shooting adventures, and they can do 10 wounded veterans at a time. Each of those trips costs $4,000, so we're looking to raise $100,000 to sponsor 25 of those events. We need everybody to jump on board, even if it's a small donation, 10, 15, 25 bucks, 50 bucks, or if you're a company and want to give 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, we would love to partner with you on this and to help wounded, paralyzed veterans, tell them thank you for their service and provide them with hope and community in a time that's very difficult for them as their life completely changes when they become paralyzed. So help us out with that. Looking forward to that. You can find out more about that on the website at betaconsultinggroup.com/events. And that will show you all the information. But most importantly, you can click on the Donate Now button to give directly to Battle Buddy 3-Gun. Again, they're a nonprofit organization, so it is a tax-deductible gift. So please join us in that effort. If you have any questions, DM me, reach out to me. Be glad to share about that. We're also going to have a little more information coming out in the next couple of weeks with my good friend Jeff Combs, who runs that organization. So very excited about that. Might even need to have him on the show at some point. We'll have to see. All right, that's enough of the announcements, folks. It is time to have our guest on. I don't want to take up any more time away from this guy's incredible story and what they're doing over at 3PL Systems. Give it up for my good friend and CEO of 3PL Systems, Cameron Robertson. Cameron, what's up, buddy? How are you
doing? Doing well, man. Doing well. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Dude, absolutely, man. I've been looking forward to this one. I had the chance recently, the way that we got connected, obviously we've been in the industry together, and we talked recently offline about the TIA event back in 2019 and the different places we've been in the industry, but really got reconnected with you guys through Jeremy and the podcast that you guys are doing. I had a chance to be on that podcast. He's like, man, you got to talk to Cameron. His story's amazing. And so he started telling me the story, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to have this guy on. I can't wait to do that. So before we go any further, just take a few seconds to tell a little intro about yourself, things people might not know about you and what you guys are doing over at 3PL Systems.
Sure. I'm going to start off with the most important thing in my life, my 2 beautiful daughters and my wife. I also live here in Southern California.
Hold on. You're a dad girl? You're a girl
yes,
dad?
Sir.
Girl dad?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Cool. Man, I got to tell you about dads. Yeah, I got to get you in the dog pound. We got to talk later, man. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, I live here in Southern California. Love living down here. It's beautiful down here. But on my business side, I'm currently the CEO and president of 3PL Systems. I have a technology and business background, and I've been with the company for about 11 years now. And I've climbed from the bottom to the top over that 11 years, and it's been a journey.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to ask you questions. That's the story that I definitely want to hear. But listen, you're a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. My girls are 14 and 12. Man, there's nothing better than being a girl dad. I got to get you hooked up with my good friend Daryl Mathis, who is the owner of Dads of Girls Apparel Company. And by the way, if you use the coupon code, I think it's Word on the Street, you get 10% off. But anyways, got this really cool stuff. And they're all about promoting dads just being active and pouring into their daughters' lives and giving them confidence and identity and just all this kind of thing. So kudos to you, man, for being a dad girl or girl dad. I always say that backwards. Being a girl dad, nothing better than being a dad of girls. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you are CEO of 3PL Systems, but you didn't start there. What was your first position at 3PL Systems? How'd you get connected with the company?
Yeah, so I actually saw the job posting online while going to college, and it was for a technical support position at a software company here in Irvine, California. And so I just filled out my resume, sent it in, got called for an interview, and a month and a half later, I got the job.
And I got to imagine that technical support has got to be like one of the lower jobs there. I mean, none of this is a bad job, but it's kind of an entry level position, correct?
It is. Yeah, it's about as low as you can get on the totem pole right now with the company being a software development company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you started there, and then, in this modern era that we're in, a lot of times people don't stick with the same company. They'll start a job, and then they'll maybe take another, either a horizontal move or maybe a vertical move, but it's usually to a new company. But your journey is different. You're kind of old school in this. I like this. You're kind of old school. You stuck with the same company. You started working up. What was it about 3PL Systems that made you want to stay there? And then how did you start to think about your career in terms of progressing up?
That's a really good question. So at the beginning of my time at 3PL Systems, it was actually pretty rough, to be really transparent with everyone. I joined the company and I went through 3 leadership changes at the top within a matter of just 2 years. And that was a tough time for me because I was trying to decide, do I stick it out, stay with this company, or do I actually go in and join a different, more stable company? But luckily, the third group of management, the vice president and CIO that joined us at the time, were some of the most influential people in my life in order to climb the ladder. They gave me the ability to run my piece of this operation with autonomy, and they constantly challenged me. And I think the most important thing for me was the constant challenge. And I remember sitting down with that VP when he got hired, and I asked him, and he reminds me of the story all the time. I asked him, what's different about you than the last 2 leaders that stepped in? Why is it that I should stay behind this company, and what are you going to do differently? And from that time forward, he looks back at that day and he reminds me that's the day he realized that I'd most likely take over the position I'm in today at some point. So it was those 2 leaders that made me decide to stick with this company through the constant challenges they gave me, and just the drive they gave me. It was actually pretty amazing.
Well, kudos to you for sticking it out with the first couple of leaders that you had that maybe weren't as good, because a lot of people may have jumped ship. But I loved what you just said. I really believe that people leave leaders. They don't leave companies. They leave leaders. Yeah. But conversely, people follow leaders that are good. Like they want to be with a good leader, even if maybe the job you're in is not the most desirable job or the perfect job or your dream job. If you have a great leader, that changes the whole equation. And then it's so cool to hear that you had leaders that came in that saw something in you and wanted to pour into you. I just wish every leader in every organization would have that attitude of how can I find these diamonds in the rough that have incredible potential, and how can I pour into them? Because clearly not only did it impact your career, but it also has impacted 3PL Systems. And Coleman, thanks for watching. James Bradley as well. Man, it's so cool to see somebody who's has this experience of just having great leaders. Cameron, talk a little bit about how that impacted you. Now that you flip the script, now that you're in charge of the organization, how does that impact how you view the people at 3PL Systems?
So I'm really big on transparency leadership. If I'm going to be making any type of decision that's going to impact any individual's job in our organization, I'm going to make sure they know about it way in advance. I'm not going to come in and just drop that on them out of nowhere. Because the moment you do that to any group of people within inside of your organization, you're going to lose trust. They're not going to believe what you're saying. They're going to feel that you're operating behind closed doors. And in today's environment, especially with the younger generations, that doesn't work anymore. You can't lead behind closed doors. You have to trust in your people. And you also have to give them a path to progressing themselves. So one of the things I love doing with our team is offering them continued education, whether that be through like a UCLA extension course, or right now I'm putting someone through getting certified in QA because they decided they don't want to be in technical support anymore. They want to go down the QA path. So just constantly giving them doors that they can go through and supporting them, standing behind them. That's just something I really believe in. And constantly providing constructive feedback to these people. I mean, they want to grow, they want to learn, and trying to trap someone in a job and just say, that's what you're going to do for my organization, you're going to have a high turnover rate with that mentality. And, you know, our average tenure at our company right now is 5.5 years, whereas a lot of company, it's around 2 years.
Yeah,
so
that's impressive.
We pride ourselves on that. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Man, there's so much to unpack there that you said that was just so good. The thing that stood out there at the beginning was trust, like to build trust in an organization, and for people to really believe that you trust their decision making, you trust their abilities, their skills that you've hired them for. And that just produces speed within an organization, because now they're not looking over their shoulder, you know, is what I'm doing, what you know, Cameron wants me to do. They're not coming to you with every decision that needs to be made, but they're making decisions. I love people who embrace that as a leader and want to build that in, because that speed for your organization is second to none. You can't replace that. I think trust is so critical. And then I got to talk about this. The fact that you care about your people and helping them get where they want to go. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life that you want if you help enough people get what they want in life. And that sounds like exactly what you're doing, the continual education, helping people transition to something else. People might try something in your company and go, that's not it. And at that point, there's only two options. Either you can get them into the right seat on the bus that is meant for them, help them do that, or they're going to go somewhere else and find that seat somewhere else. And so I love the fact that you're embracing that you know what people want in your organization, you're helping them get there. Kudos to you, man. I mean, the culture and the identity at 3PL Systems has to be incredibly positive, I would just imagine.
Yeah, it is. It's come a long way from when I started to what we are today. And, you know, even one more example of that, when I was a CTO at the company prior to taking on the current role I'm in, there was a graduate out of UCLA in electrical engineering that was working in technical support. And I was thinking to myself, this cannot be where she wants to be. So I sat down with her, asked her, do you want to learn how to write code? And she said, yeah. And so what we did is we actually challenged her. We put her with our engineering team, and she started to learn directly from us on how to build systems and write code. And today she has been promoted through software engineering, and now she actually runs a part of the entire development team because she just showed how quickly she could catch on and help lead. So that's the other thing that a lot of people need to take into consideration. When you see someone that is most likely going to be great at another position, you have to be able to recognize that and then help drive them towards that. And yeah, that was a perfect example of applying that. So,
and I'm sure that she would say like how thankful that she is that you did that. I mean, now her career is considerably better than what it was before. She's where she wants to be, at least for now. Maybe that'll change as well, but she's there now. And it's because somebody identified that and poured into them to help out with that. I like to think of, and you might echo this sentiment. I like to think of a company like a symphony. Like you got to find the people that have the skill sets to play these instruments really well, help them, you know, continue to get better. But your job as a CEO is to get them all working together in their skill sets to create this really beautiful sound. And it sounds like that's what you're doing at 3PL Systems. So kudos to you, man. That's really awesome.
Appreciate it.
So let me ask this question. So you started, technical support. You were a CTO at one point. Now you're CEO. You probably had several different stops along the way, moving up there. What's the benefit of a CEO or a leader of an organization having sat in all of those different roles, as opposed to just coming in as a CEO and maybe not having that experience?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Truly understanding what you're asking of your people. I mean, if you've done it yourself in the same organization, I've almost done every role besides sales in this company. But being able to say that I know the challenge you're going through, I can actually recognize what you're going through right now and provide constructive criticism or provide you a path to solve the problems that you're up against right now. It's extremely beneficial, I have to say, because you're not just stepping into a role and then telling someone else to go do something. You're stepping into a role knowing what you're asking of the individual and knowing how to deliver the information in such a way that's not going to be looked at as a demanding leader, but as a leader who has done it and is giving you a clear path to reach your goal in that role. And I think that's extremely valuable within any organization. If you look at a lot of founders of companies, they pretty much did every role themselves when they founded a company,
That's right.
which is super impressive. I mean, it gives them a lot of knowledge that you definitely would not gain if you go through the normal ladder of becoming a CEO in a larger organization. Of typically, it's you're going to school, you're getting a business degree or some type of undergrad with an MBA, and then you're joining a leadership role almost right out of college and then growing that way rather than starting from the bottom all the way to the top. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I think of founders, just to go back to that, those performers maybe on the street or at carnivals that have like the drum on their back and they got a symbol that they're playing with their foot, and they got a horn, they're singing as well. Like they're playing every instrument, and eventually you have to start handing those off and finding a drummer and finding a good singer, whatever. You got to find those pieces and step out of that role. But you're right, founders oftentimes have to do everything from the very beginning and have a really good sense of what they're asking of their people when they're asking for certain things to get done. Is it realistic? Can it actually get done? And also just what it's like. What is it like to do that all day? What's it like to code all day? What's it like to answer technical support calls all day long? What are the things that you go through? What are the mental challenges that go along with that that you can help out with? I think that's really tremendous that you do that. And I have to say this: you say you haven't done sales, but I guarantee you that you've done sales just in a non-direct role, because everybody's in sales, and currently as a CEO, you're pushing the brand. I mean, everybody is involved in sales around a company, but maybe you haven't used a CRM like a traditional salesperson directly, but you've been in sales, my friend. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Again, we're with Cameron Robertson of 3PL Systems. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, today on the show. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and comment as well, so you can see every time that we go live with great guests like Cameron on Standing Out and the other podcasts that we do as a part of Beta Consulting Group. So, Cameron, you're the CEO, man. You're driving the ship. What are some things that you're doing in your company to really build identity and culture? Some fun things you're doing, but also some like leadership things you're doing. We've already referenced helping people grow in education, but what are just some other things that you're doing that maybe other CEOs that are watching this could benefit from what you're doing?
Yeah, so one of the things that I believe in is direct feedback from the entire organization. And what I mean by that, you as a CEO, you should be the voice of the company, but you need to hear all the voices of the company in order for you to be a good voice for the company. And so we hold what we call internally our fireside chats with our team, where we sit down once a week, and it's just an open conversation about what's going on in the company, about it doesn't matter what role you're in. It's almost like a town hall meeting where you can actually speak up and what you would like to see in the future, which makes it a lot easier for me to make difficult decisions or drive the direction of the company and the culture. And I also feel like team events is super important. I know a lot of CEOs currently do that, but bringing your team together, especially in this remote world, especially in California around technology, making sure you get together at least once a quarter outside of the workplace. We have an event coming up where we're going to the Wild Animal Park, and it's a good thing for team building and also just to enjoy each other outside of a work environment, to really get to know the person, their families, and understand the struggles they're up against. So from a culture standpoint, that's what we're doing. And from a promotional standpoint internally, we've really changed our direction and focus as a company to view everyone as a partner to us. Our clients are not just our clients, they're our partners. Without our partners, we don't have a business. And so one of the things we do with our clients, we hold meetings called Heads Together, where we get power users to come together and work directly with our team to plan the future of our company and also our system. And I feel like that's a really powerful tool, because it's not only benefiting you, but it gives your clients a way to be heard. And giving your clients a way to be heard about their struggles, about what they want to see in the future, is invaluable to both parties. And so that's been a really powerful thing for us at 3PL Systems.
Man, those are two really awesome tactics. I love the first one where you're letting your people have a voice in these town halls, these fireside chats that you have. I heard that recently from Jason Lippert over at Lippert Components. They're $4 billion
Mm.
manufacturer in Indiana. They build parts for RVs and stuff like that. And I'm an RV guy, so I'm a big fan of his. But he does that as well every month, or I think maybe twice a month. He goes to different plants and just has an open discussion and just listens. He asks a couple questions, but he's just listening for what his team has to say. They've got a really great culture and identity there at their organization. And at TIA, I heard Jeff Tucker talking about they have a steering committee that has no leadership people on it. It's only the people that are non-leadership level people generating ideas. And he said they have adopted every idea that committee has come up with because they're hearing from their
Wow.
people. And what a great culture that the people go, wow, if I come up with a really cool idea that's going to benefit us, they're going to do it. Like they're listening. They're wrapped around that idea, and I love that. And then the flip side of that is listening to your customers. Man, what better feedback can you get from your customers on what you're doing right, what maybe you're doing wrong, how can you fix it, and where should you go? Just to give some ideas. I think a lot of leaders think that they know what the customer wants. And I think it's kind of arrogant a little bit. It's good to just hear from the customer. Is this working for you? Is this not working? What would you like to see? And especially with technology, that's really great. So I love the fact that you're using the 2 ears more than the one mouth, as they say, and listening. And I think that's really, really critical. How about fun stuff? So you mentioned this getting together once a quarter. What are some of the things you guys do just to try to have fun and just be humans together?
Yeah, so company events is really big for us. So one of the things that we recently did is we went to a house in Malibu as a team, completely disconnected from work, nothing about the office, and we brought the spouses together, the team members together, and we all went and just had a great time. We had a taco guy come out, cook for us, sit
Always a good
down.
idea.
Yeah, great communication amongst the team, and I think it's really building this idea around it's more of a family than a business. And when you have a feeling of a family, one, the tenure of your staff is going to go way up, and they're going to feel a lot more comfortable around you. So it's the fun stuff that we've been doing. Like another example is take the entire team to Disneyland. Although that can be pricey for some companies, it's definitely worth it because you have an
Adults
entire
only, right? No kids.
adults
Adults
only.
only.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kids.
adults only at Disney
Um,
World is significantly better than not. Let's just be honest. Like it's fun for the kids to see their faces, but it's way
yeah,
better as adults only, no doubt.
yeah. So just getting out there with the team is super important. And then we joke throughout the day. It just helps getting through the day as a team and as a company with one another. So it's a great organization and culture to be a part of. And I'm actually really, really proud of what we've done over the last 5, 6, 7 years as a company to get to where we're at today.
And of course, being in California, you get to throw out words like Malibu and Disneyland. Some of us in other parts of the country don't get to talk like that. So it's not a bad place to be, hanging your hat. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. So a couple of things here as we kind of close out. So obviously, having the fun together, these shared experiences, as you talk about it, thinking it more like a family. I've heard some people say thinking of it more like a team as opposed to just a business. Like we're a team, we're working towards a championship. That kind of mentality goes that way.
Yeah.
What's some of the feedback that you've received from your teammates? Maybe just things that they appreciate about your leadership or appreciate just about the company in general, and are probably reasons that they're sticking around, that they're wanting to be a part of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, a few of the things would definitely be transparency. I am a massive person about leading through transparency and being very clear about what's going on within the organization, not hiding anything. This is a true organization that says when it's a door, our door's open, our door is open. We're not doing things behind the staff's back. So we lead by transparency, and that's really appreciated amongst the staff because it just builds trust amongst the entire leadership team. Amongst the entire, lower level positions at our company. Separately is, again, as I said earlier, they know that I'm here for them to help them continue to learn, offering continual education, steering them into directions to do what they actually want to do. Because with any team member or any individual in life, if you push them to do what they actually want to do, they could be an amazing employee. If you try to keep them in a position where they are not that happy and you can just tell, you're really doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a disservice to the company and even that individual. So they've given me feedback over the years that that's really appreciated. It's been a ride, that's for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. I can
Yeah.
tell. And to touch on that transparency theme as a leader, as a CEO, I know sometimes it's hard for leaders to maybe admit mistakes, or maybe to admit when they don't know something, or to admit when they're scared or there's a fear or something like that. When you think about transparency as a leader, how do you embrace being really authentic with your people? Is there kind of a line that you don't cross? Like, I'm not gonna let people know that I'm afraid, or it's like, it's okay to talk about these. That I'm not sure where things are going to head. The beginning of the pandemic, for example, how do you address your team and go, I'm not sure what the next 3-6 months is going to look like. We're going to figure it out, but I'm not sure. Or just being transparent when you don't know something. Talk a little bit about that from a leadership perspective of being transparent with your people.
Sure. So I want to throw something out there. So there's a book that I read a while back called How Google Works. And there's one thing that was written in there that stood out to me above all else in that book. And the original founders of Google brought in Eric Schmidt, which was a leader in business. And Eric Schmidt was trying to solve really difficult business problems. And by trying to solve those difficult business problems, he went to Larry and Sergey and basically was trying to get further information on how to solve this difficult problem. And Larry and Sergey looked at him and said, go to the engineers. Go to the engineers to solve your business problem. Because in reality, engineers are thought leaders. They really are. They solve difficult problems all day long. And so when I face a difficult problem, it's not about just being fearful of what we're up against, or even COVID. Yeah, it was just like everyone else. I think everyone had worry about their business. I went to our team and I was trying to identify ways that we could prepare for what's to come, the unknown, because there were a lot of unknowns with COVID. Yeah. And the feedback I got from even our director of sales, now our director of marketing, and even our engineering team and support teams, I just knew we would be okay because no one was fearful of where we were headed. We were all driven in the same direction. And when I'm fearful, it's not that I'm sharing that I'm fearful. It's that I'm just sharing what challenge we're up against. What are we up against? And now I want to just shut up and listen. What is the team going to give me back after I share these thoughts with them? Because a lot of the time, the team's going to come up with something that you weren't thinking of that may solve your problem. And when we talk about being authentic and vulnerable, I think vulnerable is also extremely important with being authentic. If you were to sit down and ask anyone on my team, am I vulnerable? Am I authentic? I think the answer would be yes, because again, it comes down to that being transparency and just giving them direct feedback of what's going on, so that there's no surprises. And it just, it builds a lot of loyalty, a lot of trust with leadership. So
yeah, and I love what you said about
the answer you wanted. But
no, that's perfect. I mean, this is why we have you on the show. Like, we want to hear how it works for you and what you guys do. Obviously, that's working, which is cool. One thing I want to circle back around that I love what you said is that you talk about the problem, or you bring up an issue, or maybe you ask a question and then you shut up. I think that sometimes that's really difficult for leaders not to give their opinion right away. But if you give your opinion right away, you're actually hindering what other people are going to say. I mean, if the CEO thinks this and I think something contrary, do I really want to say it? Like, but if I don't know what the CEO thinks, I'm probably more open to sharing my thoughts. And if you can, Simon Sinek says this a lot of times, if you can ask a question and don't share your input at all, like don't tell your idea, and don't necessarily affirm or deny what other people are saying when they're saying it, and just listen, just sit there and take it all in and listen. It's a really hard thing to do, but it's a really valuable thing to do, because you get that creativity. People feel like they can share and they're not going to be judged, that they can throw ideas out there. And then as a leader, you get the benefit of hearing all those and maybe coming up with a better idea than what you had to begin with, Exactly. And you can figure out what's going to be the best goal. So I love that. That is a real challenge for leaders, is to ask the question and just shut up. I love the fact that you try that you take that approach. And I'm sure it's not always easy, but it's got to be rewarding to hear these smart people that are on your team sharing these great ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's awesome. Well, Cameron, listen, I told you it'd go by in a flash. We're at 30 minutes. It's crazy. Just goes like that. So we're going to have you on again to talk more about that. I'm so excited about what you guys are doing at 3PL Systems and just a chance to hear your story. Kudos to you for an incredible journey of, starting from the very bottom, going to the very top. And thank you for being on the show today. I hope you'll come back and see us soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Everybody, yes, no doubt. And everybody watching, thank you so much for that. Be sure to check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. Come back tomorrow for our episode with Dave Abels at 10:30 tomorrow. You can catch all the shows on demand on LinkedIn as well. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Take care. We'll see you guys soon.